Hey guys, so I just wanted to hop on really quick and record this video. I just did an Insta story about this, but I wanted to also be able to share it on other platforms, so I'm just doing a quick recap of what I talked about over there and a little bit extra for you guys listening on this other platform. So before I was a boutique photo editor, I actually worked for a company in Portland, Oregon called Splash Worldwide as a retoucher. And this is actually my office. This was my office. And if you go down these stairs, there's an entire room underneath this floor here. And that's where we worked. They put a bunch of desks down there because we needed it to be dark. And so we were shoved down into this pit. And my desk is actually right here. You can barely see it, but this was my office. I always sort of laugh when people talk about how it drove them crazy to be in little tiny cubicles in an office. I was down in this pit, guys. I didn't hate it though. I loved it and I loved working here. The only problem was that it was just too far away from my family and from my husband. And I ended up moving back after I worked a total of 1.5 years there. I interned one summer and then I came back after I graduated. So I worked a total of 1.5 years there and I loved it. I would still be working there now if they were closer to me, but this is also my office. But anyway, so when I was working there, we worked with a lot of really big companies, Tempur-Pedic. I think we did something with I don't know if it was Victoria's Secret, but it was with a big lingerie company. But mostly we worked with Nike. And actually that's what I worked on probably 90% of the time I worked there. I became sort of the main retoucher on the Nike ID division. And what it was and I'll actually show you. What it was I would get an image of 8 images of a shoe, and I would have to compile those images together, and they were 8 different images because they were lit differently, and I would have to pick the different pieces based on where the light was, compile them together in one image, cut it out, put it on a new background, give it a shadow, and frequently what I'd have to do is I'd actually have to recolor the shoe. So if you look at this shoe here, this is the shoe I did. I don't remember what the original color of the shoe was. I want to say this one may have actually already been red, but what happens is Nike would send us a product to photograph, but they need it to go on their website, and they need it to reflect all of the different colors that they sell with the different patterns and everything. So I got this shoe. Usually what I'd have to do, most of the time it actually didn't even come in the color that we needed it to be. So they would just send whatever they had lying around that they needed photographed. After I compiled it and put it on the new background and everything, I'd have to cut out every little piece. So the swoosh, the sole, this little black piece on the sole, each little piece. And this one's probably not the best example. If you look at this one, it's a little smaller, but each plastic piece, this is fabric, this is the sole, this is a different color. Every little piece on this, even the laces, even little loops for the laces, I had to sit there and cut out. And then I had to go in, and frequently what I'd have to do is I would have to put a new pattern on this. So this was one I did, and I had to take this one shoe. I think I did at least 3 or 4 different patterns on this one particular shoe. Frequently I had to do 3 to 5 different colors. It was a lot of fun. I loved doing this. I got in the groove after a while and I just loved it. So this shoe is kind of interesting in particular because what would happen is if we got a shoe with a pattern on it already and it had to be changed to a different color and a different pattern, I had to sit there and retouch out all of the pattern, get it to one solid color, and then most of the time when they sent us a new pattern, it was in an Adobe Illustrator file. So we would take that and overlay it, and then I'd have to sit and make sure all these shadows that we sunk it back into this shoe. So I had to create shadows on it and do all kinds of manipulating to make sure that it looked like it was really on this shoe. I just loved doing this job. It was really, really cool. It was hard work, but every new shoe felt like a different challenge. I learned so much just doing this one project. So unfortunately, I don't have any before and afters. When I worked there, we weren't allowed to release any of the images for at least 2 to 3 years, I believe. And then as an employee, I actually wasn't able to take any of the work because it belongs to the company. It didn't belong to me. So I have never really been able to show people what it is I did out in Oregon. There's been times when I was working there, I was able to pull up pictures from their website and I could say, oh yeah, I did that, or I worked on this. But I haven't really been able to show anyone what it is that I was doing out there. So last night I decided to put together a Pinterest board, and this board, it doesn't necessarily go entirely with the rest of my brand, but it doesn't matter to me because it's something that I worked on and I just love talking about it. I love being able to show people like, this is what I did, this is how I got my start in this industry, and this is what I did before I became a private editor. I would love for you guys to check this out. I'll link it below, and yeah, these are all the different shoes. This is just a small fraction of what I worked on while I was out there. I worked on, I don't know how many shoes, just every day for a year, over a year, was just this one project most of the time. And sometimes, sometimes I'd have to put them on different. Now I didn't create this background. This was just this one was given to me, but I did have to place these shoes. I recolored these 4 shoes. And yeah, it was just a blast. And yeah, I don't have any before and afters, but you can get an idea. You can look at this shoe. This shoe is actually the exact same shoe as this shoe. They're exact same shoe. And this shoe is particularly hard because it was sent to us in black. And if you're an editor or photo retoucher and you know about this kind of stuff, then you know that it is actually very difficult. It can be very, very difficult to bring something from black up to a color. The color part wasn't as hard as this white part, because when you bring it up from black to white or vice versa, it can end up looking very, very fake, and so you have to be really careful. Anyways, I feel like I might be starting to ramble a little bit, but thanks for sticking with me, guys. I hope you'll take a minute, check this out. It's on my Pinterest under my retouching workboard, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.